up, guys? Dr. Vic here, and excited to be here with you to discuss this topic. It's something on my heart. It's something I've been pressing. This is the secret sauce to my whole entire coaching program and so much more. But before we get into all that, I want to just take a moment here. If you're listening to the podcast in today, Wednesday, November 2nd, I do have an amazing workshop coming up tomorrow, November 3rd, at 6 p.m. Eastern time. And if you can't make it live, don't worry. You can go ahead and listen to the recording, which I highly recommend listening to it live because I will have a Q&A session at the end where you get to ask me actually specific questions that you want to learn more about what I shared, and I'll go deeper into the process. That's the benefit of being live. Either way, I'll have the registration link in the show notes. Go ahead and check that out. If you're, so you can also go to empoweryourreality.com/links. So I have some of my freebies, but you also have right on the top, there'll be the registration page to go to that. So check it out. We're going to be discussing how to have a business be recession proof, no matter what shows up in the world, how you can prevent that from happening. Okay. And what are things you can focus on to shift all that? So highly recommend it. It's going to be a great workshop. I will be discussing more in depth of what I'll be sharing here today with you. Because here's the thing, in life, we've been always taught to look outside ourselves. We've always been looked to, when we want to achieve something, do something, whatever that may be, we're always thinking of the hows, or we're always thinking of what we need to think or what we need to do to order to be that person. And we're always in the do. We're never in the be. The be is the element and the vibration of where the essence of what you do will be successful or not. And let me say that again. The vibration, the essence of where you are from a being perspective will determine what you do is successful or not. So why are we so conditioned to doing and just do, right? So many people say, just keep doing, because the more you practice on doing, the more you do this, the more you do that, the more you do this, the more that an element is going to help you achieve that success and get to the level where you want to go to and all these other things. And I'm not saying that doesn't work, but it's all the being. Where are you vibrating at? Where is that consciousness level that is inside you? And what are you doing daily to keep working on that? This is a game changer for anyone. If you understand these principles, it's a game changer for you in your life and what you experience and what you do. You become a master of your life when you do this. But the problem is in the business world, especially in the business world, but in Western civilization for the most part, the Western world is all about doing, all about force. And what's happening is we're realizing how much sacrifice comes with that, what we have to give up, all the chaos that comes from it. And we're realizing we have to go back to being. And there's this whole cycle of coming back. Why? Because nature is being. Nature doesn't focus on doing. It follows the laws of inspired action. It only takes action when it needs to. The heart does that, right? Some people, when I talk about effortless success a lot of times people say, well, the heart always works all the time. So that's not true of what you say about the laws of body or nature. And I always look and I go, that's not necessarily true. Research has shown that the heart, if you understand how the heart works, it makes a contraction and then it relaxes. They've actually mapped out the average of heartbeats in a human being. And they said, how long does really, in 24 hours, how much does your heart work? 9 hours. 9 hours out of a day, the heart works. So it's kind of cool that, when you see that, there's principles and laws to things of when to take action and so forth, but there needs to be a doing this. So to understand, I'm not saying there's not need to have some action. You just got to get the being right. And the thing is, we've never been taught, quantum physics has proven that all things are energy. Sounds great. We've been talking about that for 5,000, 10,000 plus years. Ancient wisdom has been always talking about how everything is energy. Everything is all connected, right? But science had to prove that to be something different. And now quantum physics has come around and saying it is all energy. And if you don't want to believe that, just call it quanta, because that's what they call it in quantum physics. Now, that being said, well, if everything's energy, and now we take another step, right? So we got everything that's energy. We're also all interconnected. I'll talk about that a little later. But let's take it a step further now. If everything's energy, everything is, then the law of vibration comes out to be true too, because the law of vibration states that you only experience in your life wherever you're vibrating at. You only experience anything that only has an existence of wherever it's vibrating. And so now that plays a role because that's energy in its essence, because energy has an imprint, it has a frequency, it has a vibration, consciousness level. And that's all going to be at different levels. And each level has a different experience, has a different thing that's going to show up. Why? Because then there's where law of attraction comes in. And the law of attraction is going to attract that into your life wherever you're vibing at. And then the laws of manifestation will come in because now it's saying, well, you attracted this. Now we can take this from the non-physical and here it comes into your physical world. And that's called the feedback system, right? And that's a whole nother discussion I'll have in a minute. So it's one of those things that when you're looking at the being element, let's get back to the premise of what I was sharing. If you're vibrating in a state of scarcity, in a state of poverty mindset, in a state of fear and letting limiting beliefs control you, I don't care what you do, you're never going to break out of it. That's mental prison. You'll get micro gains, or you may see success, but you'll see your bank account never grow, or you won't have that fulfillment that you wanted because we never got to the root cause. This is why sometimes people create this limiting belief that when you have more money, you're more unhappy. Or money's because people are greedy, and money, look at it, creates more problems, right? Because people get money and they get rich and they have divorces and they have this and they have that and all this other stuff. That's not true. None of those things are true. Now you can go and try to prove yourself because your mind's going to say, no, that is true. And it's going to stick to a belief system, which means then the eyes and the brain are going to start to focus and look at things to try to prove to you what you're stating in your belief to be true, because that's how the brain works. But in the true essence, though, it's not true. And the reason why I say that is because when you start to look at where they're coming from a classical physics perspective, Newtonian physics. They're coming from an aspect of force energy. You have to give up something, sacrifice when you use force energy. You don't have to do that when you're in the quantum world, because the quantum world is a whole different realm to understanding how the non-physical creates our physical world. And from the quantum side of things, it's really the energy being essence of where you need to be. And it's where we start to take our power back. Because in the quantum world, when you understand quantum physics and what they've done in studies to understand consciousness, you start to realize that it's all about taking our power back. And that's what I loved about it. 15 years ago, I started studying this stuff. I'm not somebody new into the field. I've been studying this stuff for 15 years. And it's one of those things that I have it down to a T, where it comes to these processes that this is what quantum physics continues to prove day in and day out. And when it comes back to the whole essence of beingness, right? Creating that vibe, everything's energy at the end of the day. That is what we want to focus on. But the thing is, we're not taught that. We're not taught how to raise our vibration. We're not taught these elements. We're taught to do. Go do hard work, do it for a long period of time, you'll become successful. Look what billionaires always keep saying. Oh, you just got to keep grinding and keep hustling and keep doing the work, man. It's going to happen. You just got to go ahead and get out there and look at me. I made this much money. Look at that. I 10x my business in this much time. I make this much money now. And it's because I grinded and I hustled and did all this. The sad truth is, some of these people, I'm not mentioning names, some of them don't even realize they're in the quantum world based upon their mindset and their frameworks of how they see things and what they focus on every single day. Some of them, which the ones I've studied, are in the quantum world. They know how to play the game. They don't get bothered ever because they know how the game's played. They know how they have to focus their energy. That's all that matters. And here's the thing. I actually was on a podcast and I was breaking down about billionaires and how they use quantum world and what they do and all this. And one of the hosts it was two hosts. And one of them was like, you know what? You are 100% absolutely right. She's like, you're 100% absolutely right. I know that because I know a lot of billionaires. And I'm sitting there going, hold up here. If you know a lot of billionaires, you and I need to have an off-record conversation. She's like, no, I used to be a flight attendant for a private jet. And she's like, I got to talk to them, and their intense focus and their concentration on where they vibe at and their energy and where they want to keep it at is absolutely mind-blowing. And they're like, that was one of the things that for me was, she goes, so what you're saying is 100% true. And so I'm sharing that with you to try to give you some social proof. Okay. I'm trying to share this with people because for some reason in the business world, when you talk about effortless success and all these things, because what we do as humans is we reject anything that goes against the conditioning of the matrix, right? The matrix has conditioned you to think this is what hard work's about. And I can sell in that realm. It's unfulfilling for me because then what I'm doing, I'm selling something that when it comes to like when my coaching practices, I coach to help people from a quantum perspective to create true fulfillment. But I also know the game and where the matrix is, right? And when you know the game and where the matrix is, then all you have to do is just follow whatever the matrix is doing. You'll have the masses with you because they're all conditioned at that vibration. But when you have somebody who's trying to, and I'm not saying just me, so please don't take this as an ego thing. There's many other people that are doing this too. But when we try to step out of the matrix and try to help you be above the matrix, to have a better, higher vibration, not a better, just a higher vibration, higher consciousness level, to find even deeper, more fulfillment. usually you're going to have more of a discreditation going on or a rejection going on because it's not what the masses. And we do this in a knee-jerk reaction as humans, more than you ever can imagine, because it goes against one's beliefs or what we've been conditioned and so forth. So the being element is going to be the most critical thing that you need to focus on. And the thing is, we're not taught to raise that vibe, right? So what raises our vibe? What creates our energy level? Well, there's a lot of things that do, but at the end of the day, to keep it simple for you guys, thoughts, emotions, and where you put your focus at. That's it. Thoughts, emotions, where you put your focus at. Now, some people say it's just thought and emotions. I'm like, yeah, that's great, but I can feel great and everything, but I could still be looking at doom and gloom. Right? I don't care how much I have to work 2-3 times harder. That's force energy. But when you're in a great state of a mood, and then all of a sudden you have the thoughts aligning with that, and then you can focus on what that is, man, and all of a sudden you're creating alignment. That's laser focus. And so these are the principles of life that when it comes to this is the bread and butter of what I try to teach my clients in some way, shape, or form of how to manage their energy and keep their energy and focus to where they want to go. And when you can start to do that on a daily basis, you start to shift your gears in your life to the newer level to where you want to creating the life you want to create. And the problem is, here's what I hear a lot of people, and this is the problem we have in the world today. And I'm sharing a lot here because this is stuff I've been in the last year. I mean, the last year I'm going to be talking some more about, and at the end of the year podcast, I'll be talking more about this. But it's one of those things where we keep listening to stuff, and then we think just because we heard something great that we're good. And that's actually a trap in itself, because here's the thing: your brain hasn't been rewired yet. So we think we hear something and we got it, right? But a week, 2-3 weeks later, you're going to be right back where you were, because you haven't really shifted the energy. I'm not the energy, the neurology. You haven't rewired the brain to those new habits. You haven't been able to hone that energy into the nervous system so that it can be that process. And so when you don't do those things, then all of a sudden you're just listening and you're doing what everyone else does. It's what's the next podcast to listen to? What's the next binging out of Netflix? What's next to this? And what's next to that? What's next to this? And we're never really absorbing and taking things in. And I'm speaking from experience, guys. So this is not something that I'm just rattling off. I mean, I did this for 7, 8 years, where I was just downloading and reading books. I remember I'd be taking breaks from chiropractic school, and I have 2.5 weeks, and I would read 8, 9, 10 books during that time. And then I'd be in my studies, and I would still read books while I was in school, but it wouldn't be as much. And because I didn't have a lot of time to read because I was always studying. But it was one of those things that I would take on from time to time. But I was still doing like 50, 60 books when I was in school. And then when I came out, that's where I went all the way up to 180 to 120, where I peaked at 132 at one year. So I've done all that. Okay, what's next? What's the next thing I have to do? What's the top 10 business books now? Oh, hey, Steve Harvey said he has 5 books you recommend. Okay, right, I want to read his 5 books. And I was just going all over the place with these things. And I wasn't going, what really matters to me and what do I need? And this is the teachings I teach now, because I went through that process and I wish someone taught me that sooner. It's one of the reasons why I'm in coaching. And so when you look at your life, remember that the being element is everything. It sets the stage for everything. Okay. And when you start to understand that process, you start to understand that this is what's going to, where you're being and where you're vibing at. Then when you start to do, it just works. You've seen people who just have lucky strikes, right? You just look at them, they do things, and it's like, man, everything they do just works. I don't know how they do it, but everything they do is just they're always like just on fire. Like, it just, I don't know how it even worked out. It's like a miracle, and it still works. They're so lucky. It's not luck. They're at a certain element of energy. And when you get to that level of energy, then no matter what, all things are going to work for you. So it's that being element. Talk a little bit about the feedback system, and I'm feeling like if I share that with you now, I would pretty much go into the depths of where I want to get to. So what I'll do is I'm gonna share that on another podcast. In my next one, I'll talk about the feedback system of life and what does that really mean, and how can you use that to gauge, and so much more. So you can really elevate in your life and really do that, because at the end of the day, when you start to understand these rules of this game called life, you end up being a better player in the game. And when you can level up in the game called life, you get to have more fulfillment. You get to have more fun, because then you really start to see what really your potential is. And it's a very cool system to work with and vibe with and jibe with. And I just love it. I've been playing with this field for last 10, 12 years. And what I've created for myself in that process has been absolutely breathtaking. My wife and I look back, we were talking about this a couple weeks ago, and well, we met over 10 years ago, started dating. And it was one of those things where we're looking back 10 years ago and just saying to ourselves, like, who we were then to who we are now are just two different people. And we even said it, every year we look back, it'll be a year of us living in our new area in Tennessee. And I know we're already been talking about it, like who we've become already in just this last 10 months than what we were a year ago. is we're different people in a lot of ways. Our values, what we do, our beliefs, our confidence with one another, and just so many other things, like what we've healed, and so many layers. And so it's, again, one of those things that, lost my train of thought where I was going with that, but it's one of those things that you look at your life and whatnot, and again, it all comes back to that beingness. And it's all about where you're vibing every single day. And these little small micro changes and little 1%ers that you focus on, the little things that you do every single day that can help in that process, it really helps create the massive, huge changes in one's life. And so focus on the energy, thoughts, emotions, where you focus. That's it. What should you focus on? Focus on who you want to become, right? In the quantum world, there's no time. So there's no past, there's no future, there's no middle, there's no present. It's just, there's only the present. There's no time. So you can go into the future and you can bring that person into the present. This is something I try to teach a lot of my clients, because when you can do that, then all of a sudden you're starting to tap into that quantum realm. It's not like I have to work to get to this point. It's you're at that point. Now everything else in the physical world just has to align to where you are. It's a whole different way of looking at life. When you start to learn these little basic principles I'm sharing with you here, it's a game changer. And for those who are ready, for those who are ready to make a change, I mean, you're looking for coaching and you want a mentor of who at this caliber of understanding the spiritual side, the mindset side, the neurology side, the quantum physics. So I bring science, I bring the spirituality stuff, but I also bring mindset with business principles. There's business stuff that I help a lot of my clients with, maybe books, maybe all the stuff you hear. You can go Google this and look this on TikTok. But anyhow, if you're interested and you're ready, and you're looking for a coach, you're in the market for one, reach out to me. Go on my website, poweryourready.com, or hey, check out the show notes, the www.callwithdrvic.com. Pick out a time that works best for you and let's connect. Let's have a conversation. I'm here to help people. I have a couple spots available left for November. I know November just started, but I only have a few spots available. And I'm looking for people who really want to make a change, because in my coaching business, I don't accept everyone. There are only certain people that I accept in my business that I allow to be part of it. And if you don't fit that caliber, or, whatever it may be, then I'll let you know. That's why I do a free coaching call. But I only do free coaching calls to those who are looking for a coach and ready to invest in themselves. So check it out, www.callwithdrvic.com. And I want to appreciate you guys being on. And if this is the first time listening, please subscribe so you never miss another episode. And if you enjoyed the episode and you found this inspiring, pay it forward by sharing with one person. And if you've really been listening to the episodes for a little bit and you enjoyed it, please share a review wherever you listen to. It really helps get the podcast out there. I want to thank you guys as always. And until next time, this is Dr. Vic. I'll talk to y'all next week.